Hello everyone, welcome to episode 14 of the Mind Body Soul Transformation Podcast. It's really good to be back after missing a week last week of recording the podcast and a whole heap of other stuff actually. I just had so much going on both in my 3D existence in terms of being really busy, but also a lot surfacing for me within my own energy, within my own healing and so on and so forth, that I just followed my guidance in knowing that that wasn't a week that I needed to record a podcast. That was a week I needed to dive in, go within, work through what was coming up for me, and then move into the week that has just been, in terms of moving from a place of very much divine guidance and alignment of the path that I'm here to walk. And I'm filled with excitement this weekend recording this podcast with a whole heap of leaps of faith and aligned action, Chill saying that I've taken over the last few days in particular, that I'm really excited to dive in and share with you all this week, along with some of the things that have surfaced for me and how there might be lessons in there for you, or there might be messages in there for you that can help you on your own path. The energy this week has been huge. Starting last weekend with the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which I'm sure many of you felt to some degree bring up some really big things for you, surface a lot from the depths that we hadn't maybe yet processed, looked at, healed. And that's certainly been the case for me. Things surfacing, coming to the surface and popping their heads up to go, hey, you know me, that thing that you thought you'd healed, actually here's another test for that, and here's another way in which you haven't actually yet addressed this part of your healing journey. And that in itself, isn't it, just a reminder to our egos that this is a journey and that there is no end destination to this. We continue to need to turn up each and every day in our human existence, which is exactly what we're here for, to live and to learn and to heal and to enjoy all that comes along with this existence. And that's the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard, the frustrating. So yeah, I would be really interested in hearing from any of you about what has surfaced for you in the last week coming out of that full moon in Pisces, the lunar eclipse. We're sitting in between two eclipses right now, and it's heavy. And I don't know if this resonates with any of you right now, but I feel like I'm riding this roller coaster of really high highs and really low lows, and it's like it's quick moving through me. It's like when I'm down in the deep heavy stuff, it's yuck, but it doesn't last long, and then I'm back like just in awe of the beauty of the world, in the beauty that surrounds me, in the beauty of the people and the opportunities that are in my life. And then crash bang back into some other lesson, to some other bit of healing that I need to do. So in ways, I'm really grateful for that, because it means that these things are short-lived. There's a bit of contrast there to help me through the heavy stuff, but it's taxing. So yeah, please reach out to me in the comments or via DM in my Instagram page and just maybe share with me a bit of what you're going through. I would love to hear that, and I'm sure there's lessons there for me too. That would be really helpful. My understanding around this full moon lunar eclipse and a whole heap of the astrology that we're going through right now, including the fact that Pluto's just gone back into Capricorn, is that this is kind of that last chance for us to work through some of the stuff that we've been dealing with while Pluto has been in Capricorn up to this point, and release that, heal that, transform that karma, heal that karmic baggage, and move into the age of Aquarius, which is, I don't have notes in front of me, but I think it's going to last 250 years. So the rest of our life is in this whole new age and era of human existence on this planet. So exciting. Like, this is the stuff that gets me so excited and helps me navigate the challenging stuff that happens in my own life, but also is happening around the world. So, yeah, this current phase that we're in, these eclipses, all of this is very intentional, very aligned energy with exactly what we're meant to be doing right now, which is looking within, looking at our lives, looking at what we need to release before we step into this new phase that is coming in so beautifully and so fast for us. And as I've said in so many of the podcasts, the more we can lean into exactly what this is asking us to do, exactly the lessons that are coming up for us, and actually face them, the easier it is going to be to navigate the transition that is coming, that we're going to have started to work through some of the stuff that we're being asked to, so that our life doesn't have to throw, hopefully, even bigger, heavier lessons in our way, those tower moments of chaos and destruction, to force us to learn the lessons that we have the opportunity to learn right now. And maybe you're having those tower moments right now, and that's not to say that you have not done the work you need to do. It's just, as with all of us, we have those moments in our life that just have to push us outside of our comfort zone, have to push us to really face what it is that we need to face, and move with that energy, move out of that energy, and get back in alignment of where we are meant to be on our path. And that really, that our path part is exactly what I want to dive into in this week's podcast, because that's really what's coming up for me, and so strongly coming up for me, that it is time. It is time for us to walk our paths. It is time for us to find our truths. And it is time for us to let go of the fear, to things we have internalized, the structures and systems, the beliefs, the self-beliefs, the beliefs about how the world works, to allow us to actually lean into this, lean into where we're going, both as a collective and as individuals, and lean into being more present, being more aligned, and being open to receive those little nudges, those little bits of guidance that are, this is the next step, and following those, and being willing to follow those even when that is terrifying to you. And a big realization I've had this week, actually I've had so many realizations this week that have been really, really helpful. But a big one of those is that by us doing that, that is our message, that is our lesson to the world, that it doesn't matter what I get on this podcast and say, the words that come out of my mouth, the information, the knowledge that I'm trying to share with you. It doesn't even matter the lessons that I'm trying to share with you that may or may not resonate. What matters is how you see me living my life, and the spark that might ignite in you to recognize something within your own life that needs to be followed, that spark within you that needs to be lit, that path that you're feeling drawn and called to, or that thing that you've been feeling called and drawn to that is a part of your past. There's so much here. And I've spoken previously about how for me this journey has been following that, like every time I imagine it, it's like I'm following a path, but I'm following those breadcrumbs. I see them as pebbles though. I kind of see it like a stream that I'm following, but with the stepping stones. And I'm following my path along that stream, like as if everybody has their own path, but I'm like jumping from stone to stone to stone, and uncovering something about myself. And those stones are big things, absolutely. We're I take really big aligned steps, and I'll talk some more about those in this episode. But they're little things too. They're like scrolling through Instagram and having a post come up that just resonates with me and making me then want to understand more about whatever that was speaking about, or dive more into that person's work, because within their work there is something for me in there. It is hearing about something that resonates with me. This has come up a lot for me this week, and I'm starting to realize every time I have that feeling, like of a knowing, of a remembering, that's the word, of a remembering, when something is said that just resonates as truth with me, even though I've never heard it before in this life, that is something I need to dive into, that is a stone that I need to overturn, that I need to jump onto, whatever analogy we want to use. 16 on my timer. As I say that is how we follow this path, and that is a piece of that following your bliss that I've spoken about previously. And drawing it back to what I was trying to say here is, by me doing that and sharing bits and pieces of that, but much more by me doing that and therefore it affecting how I turn up in the world, just the vibration that I turn up in my interactions with other people, just people seeing that despite all of the dramatic changes that I've had in my life this year, that I'm here smiling, beaming at times, feeling so in alignment, and just resonating that energy around me, that might spark something in someone to go, there's something there. And that won't look like my journey has looked for you, but it will look like you hopefully realizing that you need to find your own path and follow those pieces of curiosity, follow those feelings of remembering, following that alignment piece, following that intuition piece, and leaning more and more into that energy and living your life from that place. So I shared on Instagram this morning my oracle pull for the week ahead, and I used my Healing Waters deck, which just really is speaking to me a lot at the moment. And two beautiful cards came out, and the first one, as I was reading the message out, I just was overcome with energy, like my body was on fire, and then emotion, and it was so powerful. It's the story of the Selkie woman, the seal woman. Go read about it, because boy oh boy does this resonate with me. But I think also just, I was going to say women, actually just humanity at the moment, because it's all about a part of ourselves being hidden from us, and us one day finding that part of ourselves and remembering and returning to our home. That made me so emotional just saying that. That's the message. And the message on the card is coming out of hiding and embracing who you really are. And obviously with this podcast, with the total transformation of focus on my Instagram page, total transformation in my life in the last, whatever we're up to now, anyway, this year, I've been doing that. But this last week, I have just dove in full speed ahead to just accepting that there is something I'm here to do. And I need to be taking those aligned steps, following those stepping stones, following those pieces of knowing and remembering to ensure that I'm able to meet my soul's purpose in this life. And I know a piece of that is helping you through this podcast, through my Instagram page, through just my interactions with you, and through what is to come in the work that I am being called to offer, is helping you remember who you are. and to transform all parts of your life to allow you to live in alignment with your truth. And so I want to just share a bit around what that's looked like for me this week, maybe even some stuff that I haven't shared previously prior to this week, and how fear and judgment and things like that have held me back from sharing that stuff. And just to inspire and encourage you to also follow that path for you. And it doesn't have to look like mine. I've already said that, but it doesn't even have to be for you right now that it resonates as your soul's purpose being something to do with this transition into Age of Aquarius, or this transition of igniting remembering in other people. It can be, what is your unique offering that you are here to offer to the world, to your partner, to your child? What is it that you are here to do in the smallest and possibly the biggest of ways? And just helping you see the opportunity that life is presenting to you each and every day to do just that. So I think where I want to start is some things that have surfaced for me this week. And as I've already touched on, some of these things, my ego can get in the way and get frustrated by the fact that these lessons continue to surface when I think that I've already worked through them. And the reality is, if I had worked through them, if I had healed what needed to be healed, they wouldn't continue to surface for me. There's a whole heap here, but I want to probably start with, or maybe only speak to one in particular. And that is something that's happening within my life that I've been kind of torn about how to respond to. And it is someone who is behaving in a way that is threatening something that I care very, very deeply about. And the response to that, I've been torn between two. I've been torn between three. I've been torn between doing what is expected of me within this context of going along with it. Because the reality is, this person ultimately gets to decide how this plays out in terms of the structure in which this context exists. And there is a part of me that recognizes that, acknowledges that, as much as it rubs up against my values and the things that I care about completely. But I'm not a fighter. That's not my style. And so it's a really hard position to be in, where my style is just go, well, I will keep putting my point of view forward, but I will do that in a way that isn't antagonistic, that isn't potentially counterproductive, that isn't all of these things. The people pleaser part of me. In my life, where things really push up against the things that I care about and my values, that people pleaser part of me is probably weakened and overrun by my strong values in integrity and justice and fairness. And that is what's overriding me right now. And so it's kind of pushed me then into two spaces. Again, in that position where I feel powerless to actually impact an outcome of a situation for a whole heap of reasons. There's a part of me on this journey, and I thought this was the healed part of me, that kind of wants to walk away from it. And that's not because I don't care, but it's because a lot of the messaging you get in this space is needing to hold your vibration at a certain level to turn up and do the work that I'm here to do. A lot of things will fall away from your life or be in misalignment for your life, and you'll need to walk away from them when they're not in alignment with you, to make sure you're able to be at the vibration that you need to be at to welcome into your life what you need to welcome into. And that's where I've been sitting, and that's been a really hard place to be sitting because of how much I care about this thing that I was thinking about walking away from. But I thought that was my lesson, and I've done that this year. I've mentioned this on the podcast, how frustrated I've been around this presentation of a lesson that was looking like I was being asked to walk away from another thing that I love and cherish dearly in the same year, thinking like, surely I've shown you, universe, that I'm willing to follow my path and follow my calling and walk away from what I need to. Do I have to walk away from this? And so that's where I've been sitting and grappling with and struggling with, to be honest, but thinking that that was the path I was walking down, and that one way or another, that was going to be the outcome. The other part of me wants to fight, knowing well that that could still be the outcome, that by fighting this, I may well end up no longer being involved in the thing that I am fighting for, as an outcome to standing up against something that no one else is wanting to stand up against. And the realization I had this week during a meditation is that this situation, and maybe other things that I've thought I was responding to correctly in the past, is less about me stepping into my power and walking away from something. Because actually, when I look back over my life, I've been able to do that in many, many ways, of putting up a boundary, possibly a wall, to things that were hurting me and going, no, I will not tolerate this. I will not stay here in this environment. This isn't working for me, whatever it might be, across a whole heap of really huge relationships, connections, situations in my life that meant a lot to me, and walking away from them. And so what I've realized this week is that that's a repeating cycle that I thought I'd learned, that I thought the people pleaser part of me was being tested, and I was again meant to walk away from this because that is not people pleasing. Although maybe it is in this context, because that's probably exactly what this person would like. Anyway, but I had this realization that that's not what I'm being asked to do right now. I am being asked to fight, but to fight in a clever and considered way. And to call my power back in a clever and considered way. And also in a spiritual way. That during this meditation, I ended up basically sending the energy that's being sent towards this thing and towards me back to the person that's trying to send it. And that felt so powerful. And like, I finished the meditation going, you've messed with the wrong person. And I feel like I'm so supported in that response, in that I am now in touch enough with how energy works, and everything is energy, that not only can I heal some karmic baggage in this space and learn a lesson and alchemize this situation, but I also can control how this person directs their energy towards us and is actually able to, and protect myself and the thing I care about from that energy. And I know, even with all of that, I know and have faith that what happens will happen, but it is such a different feeling to come at it from that place of, actually, you might have a position of power. You might have the ability to do what you want to do and to have the outcome, or think you can have the outcome that you want. But I'm not backing down from this fight, and I'm going to use every tool in my toolbox to stop you from potentially hurting people that I love. And it's just such a reminder to us that if things keep happening in your life, even if you think you've healed them, to actually just take a step back and go, well, I've tried this in the past and that felt like the right thing to do back then, but actually the same lesson's coming up for me again. So what is it truly that I'm being asked to do in this? And sit with that, meditate or journal on that if that is a modality that works for you, and maybe come at it from a different angle. And particularly for those of you that are in the spiritual space and are understanding energy and how energy works and how manifesting works and alchemizing works, maybe opening up to how can you use that, how can you weave that into your response to this. The other thing in that space, because if I'm being honest and just talking from my human self, this situation has, I'm not going to swear, has frustrated me to no end, has angered me, has brought up all of the feelings that it needed to surface, has made me despair at the just complete lack of humanity of some people. And as I've already said, has made me go, why is this happening to me again? And it's just a reminder that these things that surface for us, these big things and all of the little frustrations or things, hurts, pain, heartbreak that surface for us aren't happening to us. They are happening for us. They are happening to catalyze in our lives what needs to be catalyzed, to encourage us to do the healing, to alchemize a situation into something bigger and better for ourselves or for whatever that situation might be. And that's such an important thing for us to come back to in our own journeys, and just also looking at the collective level. And this is hard for me to say because it just breaks my heart what is happening around the world right now, and again infuriates me how little power it feels, because I think it's only a feeling. It feels like we have to stop this, but I know, super hard for me to say because I'm talking about people's lives, but I know these things are happening for a reason. They are waking us up. No doubt about that in my mind. That is a truth in my heart. And as part of that waking up, they're going to let us realize that we have held the power this whole time, and that we've been made to forget who we are. I wasn't planning to say this is just coming through. We've been made to forget who we are and the power we have to create the world, the lives, the existence that we want. The events that are currently happening in the world and the events that are to come are to help us remember that. And I've just realized the connection between what I'm saying there on the collective level and the connection between the personal story that I've just told, in that we're talking about hierarchical power and recognizing your own power against it and breaking down those systems and fighting against those systems. Probably more on that to come, and I know I've spoken about that in a previous episode, but there will be a lot of that surfacing for us. There will be events take place. There are events taking place. There'll be more events taking place that will make us realize just how much truth has been hidden from us and just how much we have been brainwashed, indoctrinated, controlled, misled in the things that we've been told or made to believe, in order to allow those systems and structures to have control. And boy, are they fighting against what is currently happening in terms of you waking up. So maybe there is something there for you in your life where you can go, oh, I can see a version of that happening in my own life right now. And just have a think about how true it is that that thing actually does have power or control over the situation. Or how could you shift your mindset to see it differently and see that if you were able to come at that from a different place, from a different perspective, whatever that looks like for you, be it thinking about it all as energy, be it something else, how could you shift that situation to take back your power, to take back your control? The other thing that's been happening for me this week is strengthening of my gifts. I'm going to come back to that word in a second. Or new gifts coming in for me, coming online for me. And also that so is related to then me being more confident in taking aligned action, moving from alignment and diving more into this path. I'm still straddling, I still feel like I'm straddling two worlds, but more and more I'm leaning into this path and using some of the gifts, modalities, knowledge, all of that to influence my existence in my 3D existence, my other life, basically. I want to just go back again, as I said, to that word gifts. And I like the word because it feels like a gift to me. Like it feels like something that I have been, I'm going to say blessed with, but that also gives a connotation that I'm trying to move away from. But it's a blessing and a gift to me and my life. And then how I'm able to share that is then hopefully a gift to other people's life. But what I don't want the word to mean, and I don't believe the word to mean, is that this is unique or special to me, because what I have realized on this journey is that we all have access to all of the spiritual gifts that are on offer, the clairs that are on offer in terms of psychic abilities, clairaudience, clairsentience, all of those are open and available for all of us. And some people were born into lives where they have had that connection from an early age and maintained it. For some of us, that has come online later in life, possibly as a result of working with other people that are tapped into their gifts and that coming online as part of that work. For me, that was my Reiki attunements, no doubt about it. But it's been, as I've stepped into this space and this work and this world, this existence, at times I felt like an imposter, like I've come into this without any connection to those gifts, any connection to even knowing if that was possible for me. And there's a few things I want to say around that space. Is I felt like an imposter, which has meant that I've had resistance in me to being open to those gifts. And obviously the first of those for me was my intuition and consciously connecting to that more. And that's been a big piece of what I've shared on the podcast and shared on my Instagram page is follow your intuition, work on that muscle. It will strengthen and it will help you immensely. As a result of energy healings and particularly my Reiki attunements, I've connected to past loved ones. I've been able to connect to other people's energy and actually recognize within me how much that has always been there. As an empath, and there's a lot around why empaths are empaths and how their environment as a child can influence that need to be in tune with other people's energy from a place of needing to protect yourself or keep yourself safe. And I've always known I'm a very strong empath. I've always known I'm highly sensitive. I've never connected that with anything spiritually. And as I lean into this, and particularly as more of my gifts come online and I'm able to connect more intentionally with that kind of energy, gift, whatever, I've never realized the connection there. That when I'm having a conversation with someone and I can pick up that they're not okay, or I can pick up that what they're saying isn't true, whatever that is, I never realized how much that was actually me connecting truly to the truth of their energy. And I can think of so many times where that has helped me and hopefully those people in my life. And now I'm starting to build that muscle and build more consciously connecting into other people's energy, both like that in conversation with other people and trusting my intuition, trusting that feeling. But then when I'm actually working in this space, again, be it my Reiki work or when I'm in meditation, when I'm doing my distance Reiki stuff, that is all tuning in to that energy. And for me, that comes through more often than not as a feeling of something that I can then resonate with and then connect the meaning with. Sometimes that does come through with visions, but I'm not an overly visual person. So it is really for me feeling into a shift in my energy that's reflecting whatever it is that I'm trying to tap into. And I've been doing a lot in that space in my meditation of trying to tap into and connect with energies of all kinds and working on strengthening that. And as I've done that work, what I'm finding is my gifts in that space are strengthening, and I'm now having different visions come through. I'm now much more easily able to connect with the energy of my past loved ones, of some of my guides, and start to recognize the differences between all of those energies. Particularly, my past loved ones are easy. Like, I know what it feels like to be around them, so I know who it is that is tapping into me, and I'm more easily connecting with the visualization of who that energy relates to. And for those guides, with one exception, which is my Reiki guide, I haven't been able to get a visualization on those, and I haven't shared on the podcast yet about my Reiki guide, and she came through in my Reiki 2 attunement. And as with all of these things, at first I questioned myself as to whether what I was seeing was real, because again, often not a visual person. I find that gift much stronger when I'm in a group and I'm able to tap into their energy, and that's been true of my beautiful Reiki trainings with Brenna. And okay, I will share this story now. We were working through a meditation and we're being guided to go on this journey to find our Reiki guide. And we've all got a unique Reiki guide. And I was thinking they were going to look like an angel or something like that. When you go into these things with preconceived ideas of what it's meant to look like, there's resistance there. Anyway, I walked into this beautiful big tree that had a door open. The door went in, there was this bright light shining, and as I got closer, what I saw was this beautiful close-up of an elephant eye. And again, head got in the way, and I thought, surely this isn't meant to be an animal. Surely this isn't meant to be an elephant. Why am I seeing an elephant right now? Thankfully, as I was intellectualizing that, as my brain tends to do, Brenna, who was guiding us through the meditation, said, this may be a person, it may be a spirit, it may be an animal. I think she said something else as well. And when she said the animal piece, I could then lean into trusting what I was seeing. Oh, this makes me so emotional. This is one of the most powerful experiences I've had so far. And there's been a lot. But I love this elephant so much. Anyway, after she said that, and I could get out of my monkey mind of trying to say this couldn't be it, I could then see her in her total awe and beauty. And she asked me to come over, and she just looked into my soul. And possibly for the first time in my life, I felt totally seen for every part of me. The beautiful parts and the hidden and shadow parts that I struggle to accept. But also, I felt totally loved for all of those parts and totally protected. And for the rest of that day, and even now when I tune into her energy, I can feel her now that I'm talking about her. I feel like I'm walking around my life with this glorious big elephant standing behind me, backing me, loving me, and guiding me on this path, way outside of just my Reiki, and then the physical act of Reiki. And that has been so special, so special, and kind of was one of the first pieces of the puzzle of me trusting and being open to those what ifs, but not just the what ifs, to believing that I am just as capable, tapping into this life, tapping into the spirit world, tapping into these gifts, these blessings, these offerings, this guidance, whatever it is, as any other person on this planet, including those that are far further along this journey than me. And so I share that story with you, that the piece of the puzzle, if you want to go down this path that you need the most, is to believe that you are worthy, that you are just as special as anybody else and just as connected as anybody else. And once you can believe that piece of the puzzle, and that's not always easy, but once you can believe that piece of the puzzle, then these things can start to fall into place for you and continue to build upon. In that space, as I've already mentioned, I've had these things strengthening for me this week. I think I've shared on the podcast that in the last few months we've lost both of our elderly cats. One completely unexpectedly, which broke my heart, and I knew the other one was sick, and so unfortunately he deteriorated and ended up passing a month later. And that's left a huge hole in my heart, in our family, in our lives. And so 2 weeks ago, as I was just, going about my life, I started to feel this feeling that whilst we had planned not to get another cat until Christmas, that there was a kitten that was wanting to come into our life. And I sat with that a little bit and felt this little grey girl kitten through me. She just kept coming up on this side. Okay, don't really know what that meant. But I could feel her energy throughout the whole week. And so I kind of just left that, and I'm a vet, so I thought maybe she was going to come into work and I'd be able to take her home from there. She didn't come into work that week. And I picked my daughter up last Saturday morning, and we were going to go Christmas decoration shopping because that's what she wanted to do. But when we got home, before we were going to go out to the shop, she said something to the effect of, "Mum, I really miss the cats. When can we get a kitten?" And so she was feeling that same feeling. I just know she was feeling the same feeling that I was. And I said, "Actually, honey, I've been thinking the same this week, and why don't today we spend the day going out to different places around our local area to see if we can find any kittens?" And a lot of the local pet shops have rescues that they work with, that they put their kittens in the local pet shop. So we drove around to all of those and to a couple of local rescue places, and they either weren't open or there was literally no kittens anywhere. And again, doubt crept into me, because I was like, sure, we were just going to walk into the first pet shop and find this grey kitten, and that was going to be that. Anyway, my daughter was getting quite upset by this stage because we've been driving around all morning, and whilst I'd had the conversation with her, we had to find the right kitten. I didn't talk to her about the grey girl kitten, but we had to find the right kitten. We couldn't just take the first kitten we found. She obviously in her heart wanted a kitten that day. And so I did something that I normally wouldn't do, and got on Gumtree just to see what was there and see what might also be in the local area, and if we could go meet a cat or kitten that we might have found on there. And the first kitten that popped up in my list and was in the next suburb over, basically, was a little girl grey kitten, just one photo of her. And so I showed the photo to my daughter and said, "Do you want me to message this person, see if we can go meet her? Again, we won't take her home if she's not the right kitten, but let's go meet her." I won't even go into that story, because how that all transpired and all that came with that was far from ideal in terms of how I would like to have purchased a kitten. But anyway, we met her. She was super sweet, divine. She's a gorgeous girl, and I knew she was the kitten that had come through earlier in the week. My daughter fell immediately in love with her, and so she's come home into our life. And again, just having that experience and going, I knew. I could see her, I could feel her energy, and I knew she wanted to come into our lives. And that's a beautiful, special example I've had a couple of other visions come through that have been maybe less beautiful, less special. One really got to me the other night, and I'm yet to see if that's going to transpire. But there are things that come up for me also that aren't things I want to see, want to know maybe if they are going to happen, and have the potential to push me into a place of fear. But I'm just trying to work with this and trying not to be fearful and trying to use what comes through to help people if I can help people, and just trust that this is all part of my journey, and a beautiful part at that. The other place I wanted to go there is that whilst all of this has been happening and all of this has been coming online for me, and all these lessons and triggers have been coming up for me, there's been things in my path that I've just known that I'm meant to do, that are aligned with me on this path and strengthening my connections, but calling in more soul family potentially, all of these things, and trusting that knowing when it comes up. And I mentioned before the light language stuff, so that came online with hand movements. Like I said, I'm doing it under the table right now after my Reiki 2 attunement, and I thought it was something to do with Reiki when it first started happening during my meditations and my self-Reiki sessions. And I asked, again, Brenna, my beautiful master Reiki instructor, and she said, no, it's not Reiki, but I think it might be light language. And it's been getting more and more, and some language is coming in, like verbalization of it has been coming in too. And so I was looking this week at what the next step was for me on this path. What did I want to do next? And actually what I was looking at was some breathwork trainer course. I was looking at a couple of options, sitting with those. And to be honest, I think I was looking at that from the wrong angle. I was looking from that of the point of what can I do to provide another offering, rather than what is my soul calling me to do, to dive into, that then could translate into something that I can then offer the world. And so, yeah, I was sitting with two different options there, working out whether I could make it happen, all of this kind of stuff. And then this Instagram account that I don't even follow came up on my feed, and the post was about a light language activation retreat. And I just knew that was it, and I was meant to be there. I know this is a part of my journey. I know there is more here for me to offer, and light language is the soul's language and is a universal language. And when I listen to videos of people speaking light language, again, it's just that inner remembering for me. I did an online activation yesterday, which went for nearly 3 hours, and started singing this light language song that just came through me. I can't remember it now, but it just was like amazing. So I'm really excited about that retreat, and to see what happens there, and to see, what comes online in that space. It's not just a language, but it is a form of healing too. And so I'm hoping I can weave that into my Reiki offerings and some of the other stuff that I have in mind that I'm working on as offerings in this space in the future, and possibly the podcast too. And then after I sign up for that, the next day, Instagram algorithm is getting me good at the moment. Another account that I didn't follow had this post up, and I just so beautifully resonated with the wording in the post, and it felt like, yeah, I totally agree with that, as the algorithm is meant to bring things up for. And the last slide of that was the fact that this person was offering a container all about soul's purpose. And I had a look through their page and a couple of their other posts, and again, the message just felt so resonant. Their energy felt so resonant that I reached out to ask a bit more about it. And next thing I knew, I was signing up for that container as well. And so I'm really excited to see how all of these pieces kind of weave together in a way that allows me to really take even more steps on this path, in terms of both my learning, my development, my journey with all of this, but also how that journey aligns with my soul's purpose and what I'm here to do. So I think I just want to, it's been a longer podcast episode than I had planned, and I do need to go and jump off shortly. I want to wrap up there with just the other side of that is, how can this relate to you and your journey and your path? And so there's a few things that I want you to sit with and consider around this space, around what your soul's purpose is, around what you are being called to do at the moment. Is there some area of your life where you are being called to step up and lead, or to step up and move from that place of alignment? Is there some area in your life where that idea around hierarchy and power and that no longer being true for you is asking you to approach something in a different way that is aligned for you, that not only has the potential to shift your life, but has the potential to actually help the greater shift in this space of breaking down these systems and structures that no longer serve us and certainly won't still be around for the age of Aquarius. Where in your life are you hiding? Where in your life are you letting fear get in the way? Be that your internal fear of what might happen, be that fear of judgment or abandonment by others. What is it that is holding you back right now, and how can you start working with that to heal that, to release that, to alchemize that fear into something beautiful and aligned and magnetic is the word that comes to mind. So maybe there's something there, or to, with that magnetic piece, to manifest in what it is that is aligned with you, with the lessons, with the triggers that are surfacing for you. Where are you potentially running away from them? Where are you facing them in the same way you have in the past and not recognizing that? And how can you embrace the opportunity that those are providing? Again, they're not happening to you, they're happening for you. What is the path that is most aligned with your higher self forward through those lessons? How can you alchemize that situation to bring about the greatest outcome for yourself, for others, for your healing, for your journey, whatever that might be? Just a reminder in that space to trust your path, trust those little intuitive nudges that are coming in, and follow the guidance across all of this area. This is all divinely guided. So what are you being called to do, and how can you just surrender to that? And I'm not saying that that is easy, even in just doing it, but also in what that might cause within your life. Can you surrender to letting life crack you open, to allow you to let your light shine, to allow you to see your true self, to allow you to connect with the truest, highest version of yourself and your timeline, and to surrender to the fact that as part of that, the things that fall away are not aligned with that part of your life anymore. And despite the hurt and the pain and the heartbreak that that may cause, to still find a way to keep your heart open through all of this journey to receiving life's gifts, your spiritual gifts, anything that life has to offer you in the most beautiful and divine way. And then to go about your life by shining your light, by speaking your truth, by sharing the hard parts of this, to let your life be your message, to let your life spark something inside of someone else. All right, I'm going to wrap that up there. Wishing you all the most divinely guided week that is aligned with your soul's purpose, and the courage to take the leap, to surrender and to follow your bliss. Goodbye, beautiful souls, and I will see you next week.